I'm way too old to be doing that, but it is an empty the clip week for week 9 waiver wire. Let's go, baby. As always, we will start at quarterback. As you can see, this is a 10-team single quarterback league, so there's a lot of availability here. So I'm not blowing my budget on any of these guys. Max 5%. Honestly, I think you can get some of these guys for free. But if I'm looking at who's available or who I'm looking at for this week only, I do like Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold. They've got great matchups. So if Purdy's healthy, good to go. I'd probably go with him first, Darnold second, next. But if I'm looking for someone more long term, Jackson Dart obviously provides such a stable floor with his legs every week. So he would be more my long term asset. But like I said, there's a lot. Like Jordan Love, I would feel good playing. Joe Flacco, even I'd feel good playing. There's a lot of options out there. McCarthy, he's an interesting bench stash just to see what happens. But he's definitely not someone I'm playing this week. As I said, empty the clip week for running back. Tyrone Tracy, if he's available in your league, you just full send. Cam Scatterbu is out for seemingly the rest of the year with his ankle injury, unfortunately. So Tyrone Tracy is going to take over. I'm a Tyrone Tracy slappy, so I'm maybe going to suggest a higher amount than what other fantasy sites are going to tell you. They'll probably tell you to do 50%. I think you just send it. I think you get him. He has an interesting prospect profile. He flashed last season in a much worse offense. Now he's going to be, with that cheat code, kind of with Jackson Dart being a mobile quarterback, plus his ability to catch passes. They're going to be in negative strips. I think that Tyrone Tracy is locked in running back 2 the rest of the way. I'm just sending my budget on it because I don't know what other opportunity we're going to get. Other than that, Michael Carter, they've been talking about how they cut him. He is still going to be in the mix. How long, we don't know. So he's like a 1%er. Emmanuel Wilson, it's interesting. We don't know what's going to happen with Josh Jacobs. He's a good speculative ad. I wouldn't go crazy on it, but like maybe 5%. Honestly, I would rather try and sneak him for like 2%. I don't think there's going to be a lot of buzz around him because there's no certainty around the Jacobs injury, but he's interesting. Then also we're looking at Devin Singletary. Just with the fact that there is some uncertainty now with the Scatterboot injury, they've got a full week to prepare. Maybe Brian Daboll decides he wants to give Devin Singletary more work, and if anything happens to Tyrone Tracy, who is, he did have some injuries last year. If anything happens to him, then Devin Singletary is next in line. So I think those are some good speculative ads. Other than that, I wouldn't say there's anyone like really jumping out to me. I do think like McNichols, Corum are good, like just bench stashes just in case anything happens to the starter, but they're not anyone that I'm counting on any sort of production over these next few weeks. Wide receiver, I'm not seeing a lot out here. I would say like the upside stash would be Chimere DK. He would be the one that I would be like most interested in if I don't need someone right away. I would say that he's like a max 5% bid. But other than these guys, I'm trying to sneak him through like for 0, honestly, if I can. Otherwise, 1%. Obviously, Calvin Austin is a good play. It should be a shootout this week, so he's a good 1-week ad. Darius Slayton's a little bit of a mix of both, just with the fact that there's still that vacated target share in New York, as well as it should be a good matchup with the Niners. So those are like the main guys I'm looking at. I do like Christian Kirk coming back. If he is healthy, I think he's a good bye week kind of filling guy. Other than that, there's no one that's really jumping out to me other than like Torrey Horton. I do think it's interesting, but he just doesn't really have the targets and routes right now. Last but not least, we've got tight end. I really like Theo Johnson a lot. Like I said, vacated target share. He's really flashed, so he would be like my go-to guy here for as kind of a short-term and long-term. But other than that, you've got a lot of good this week only assets with Zach Ertz. He's always a good bet for a touchdown. Jonnu Smith, another option there. AJ Barner, Dalton Schultz, Juwan Johnson, Evan Engram. I do like Chega Okonkwo as more of like a long-term stash as well. Things seem to be opening up for him too. So him and Theo would be like my more long-term ads. But the rest of those guys are all viable fill-in options for this week. So I wouldn't break the bank on any of these guys. I'm going like 1%, maybe 2%. But I'm definitely not breaking the bank. There you have it, though. I guess he wasn't popping, but Tank Bigsby I do like as another ad as well. He must not have been available in my league or wasn't showing, but I do like him kind of in the same vein as like Emmanuel Wilson. We don't know what's going to happen with Saquon yet. It seems like he's healthy, but if anything were to happen, Tank Bigsby has shown the upside, right? So I think he's a great ad. I would be willing to put down upwards of 10% on him. It depends how desperate you are. Obviously, you don't want to do it if you don't really need it. But if you do need someone that could potentially have some upside, I do like Tank Bigsby. So that's the week 9 waiver wire. Let me know what you're thinking about as far as drops or ads go. Trades, just hit me up in the comments below. All right, y'all.